Our journey is easterly from Ottawa, the capital of Canada, to Halifax, the capital of the province of Nova Scotia.
Come along on our joyride on holiday in Canada. Ottawa, the capital of Canada, proudly flies the maple leaf.
No busking. Amuseur public interdit.
Everyone celebrates except no street musicians are allowed. Montreal is a major transatlantic seaport on the St. Lawrence Seaway. Let's take an amphitour on the St. Lawrence. In the earliest 20th century, Silo 5 held enough grain to make over 230 million loaves of bread. Habitat 67 is a creation of a McGill University student. Each living unit is a concrete cube with the roof of the neighbor's unit, your garden. The Biosphere, the U.S. Pavilion for the 1967 World's Fair, is now a museum dedicated to the environment.
And just a few seconds to your left, the famous Notre Dame Basilica. À votre gauche, dans quelques secondes, le fameux Basilique Notre Dame.
Farewell, Montreal. Queen Elizabeth II and President Eisenhower celebrated the opening of the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Bienvenue sur la plaine d'Abraham.
In Quebec City, the Plains of Abraham is the place to be for Canada Day. The sounds of the celebration are mostly French. As we were looking for parking by the Art Museum, a couple on bicycles pulled alongside and said, "Do you speak English?" They had noticed our license plate and shared that they live on No. 1 Canyon Road in Wenatchee. This is real food. Our waitress was French-speaking with a very limited English vocabulary. I ordered scallops, but mussels is what I got. We were the only English-speaking table at this charming Quebec City cafe.
Welcome to New Brunswick. Bienvenue au Nouveau-Brunswick.
Let's take a break. Just pull off the Trans-Canada Highway and see what's great about New Denmark.
Oops, we can't take this rig across that bridge. There's no place to turn around. We'll have to unhook the tow car.
The ladies at the visitor center were exuberant about sharing the artifacts in their collection. One also conversed in Danish with John in Norwegian.
Det var meget interessant at lære om det danske indflytning i 1870. In 1872, Danish immigrants were enticed by a promise of farmland to come to New Brunswick. The enticement neglected to mention the land first had to be cleared of trees.
The greeters even helped stage a photo of Evita and Peggy.
Velkommen!
Before we could take a picture of St. Peter's Lutheran Church, the pastor's wife greeted us with an invitation to come into the church. The view from the churchyard stretches to the next settlement of French farmers. Potatoes are a common crop in many of the maritime provinces. Hanson's Meat Shop has the best donor sausage.
The Bay of Fundy has recorded the highest tides in the world. We watched the tide come in at Hopewell Rocks. The tide will come up to the hips on Bear Rock and fill Lover's Arch. Notice how shallow the water is before the tide comes in. During the time it took us to climb up the stairs to this observation platform, the tide advanced enough for kayakers to glide under Lover's Arch. This is the famous flower pot rocks.
5 after 11 a.m. Water's starting to come in, and it's up against the rock right there.
Is that what they're doing, going through the Lover's Knot?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the idea.
It's 12:30. At 12:50, the highest the tide will get today.
The arch disappears as we bid farewell to Hopewell Rocks.
The welcome to Nova Scotia is a bagpiper who pipes visitors in. The area was first settled and named by Acadians in the 1700s, and by 1727 they had established a village. The village was resettled by English-speaking settlers in 1760 and renamed Truro. It is nicknamed Hubtown because the railroad hub, and now all major Nova Scotia roads, go through it. A tidal bore is a phenomenon of water rapidly rising as the incoming tide tries to rush up a river while the river tries to run to the ocean. 10 years ago, we watched the tidal bore from the dining room of this restaurant. It's now closed. You can tell it's high tide. The highest water level ever recorded in the Bay of Fundy occurred on the night of October 4th, 1869, during a tropical cyclone named Saxby Gale. The combination of high winds, abnormally low atmospheric pressure, and a spring tide caused the water level to crest at 70.9 feet.
Walking down a path to the beach from the Burnt Coat Head, we came upon this sign. Avita and I are exploring the beach during low tide. The wooden steps show how high the water is at high tide. When the tide is out, you can see the cliffs made by the tide erosion.
Acadia University in Wolfville was founded in 1836 and provides a liberal arts education. It has a strong Baptist affiliation.
The locals told us their municipal park is a good place for viewing the incoming tides. I started shooting at about 2:30 and tried to get another picture every 30 minutes. The best way to judge the rising tide is to count the rungs on the wharf ladder. During our 2-hour watch, the tide covered 6 of the 12 rungs.
We only stayed about 2 hours, but wow, what a change in water level. The tide is exceptionally high because of the gravitational effect of the full moon. As the tidal flow increases, the sand disappears. This man appears to be walking in the marsh grass. He's actually on a motorized wakeboard. The Halls Harbor Lobster Pound has lobsters for adoption. Small, medium, large, extra large, or jumbo. Lobster is $16.95 per pound. We decided not to adopt one. According to Callie and Judy, the Atlantic at Kingston Beach is very warm. Annapolis Royal was Nova Scotia's capital until 1749. Fort Anne was established by the British in 1629 to protect the harbor of Annapolis Royal against the French. The original powder magazine was built by the French in 1708. From Fort Anne you can see for miles. The road signs in Nova Scotia give a visual of where you are. We are following the Evangeline Trail.
Evangeline, as in Longfellow's poem, the love story of Evangeline's quest to find her Gabriel after the expulsion of the Acadians from Acadia, now Nova Scotia.
We're just in time for the Scallop Festival in Digby, a big doings for the town. Digby scallops are world-renowned for their size and succulent taste. Here comes the parade. Enter your dog, your kids, and even your llama.
Awesome vintage dwellings remain in Nova Scotia. Yum! Blueberries. It's the honor system. Just leave your money. There's a bowl of quarters so you can make change. Our Nova Scotia tartan change purse holds Canadian bills. The $1 note has been removed from circulation. Canadian and U.S. coins are similar. Queen Elizabeth II is the head. The tail, a symbol such as a schooner, the blue nose. The 1-cent piece has been discontinued. The loon is on the $1 coin and affectionately called a loonie. And there's a $2 coin with a bear called a toonie. Yes, loonies and toonies. My grandmother, Frances Amelia Wood Piers, was born in Oxford, February 18, 1876. Her grandparents, Valentine and Jane Jackson Wood were among the first settlers of Oxford, Nova Scotia. The family received a gift from the Crown of 52 acres that overlooks Oxford. The property description and survey markers locate the land. There's about a 30-year growth of trees on the property. John's Nova Scotia bug jacket protects him from the flies and mosquitoes. Where the land is cleared, there are fields of blueberries. Oxford is the blueberry capital of the world. What's in the shanty that sits in the blueberry field? All the comforts of home. My grandfather, Ezekiel Piers, was born in Pugwash in 1866. The village is on the Northumberland Strait. From the Seagull Pewter outlet, you can watch salt mining. That's a lot of salt.
Pugwash is synonymous with thinkers and peace. Thinkers Lodge was a home of Cyrus Eaton, the man who funded and helped organize the first Pugwash Conference on World Peace in 1957. 22 scientists from around the world accepted his invitation. Eaton was awarded the 1960 Lenin Peace Prize. The Norwegian Nobel Committee awarded the 1995 Peace Prize jointly to Rotblat and the Pugwash Conferences on Science and World Affairs. Thinkers Lodge still offers overnights and meeting rooms for guests. Cyrus Eaton's granddaughter was visiting at the lodge. She graciously autographed her book for us. Cyrus Eaton is well remembered in Nova Scotia. On the road again. The road heads farther east. What's that? We were just passed by the Blues Brothers. St. George's Bay juts inland from the Northumberland Strait. Both sides of this campground have waterfront views on this Cape Breton lake.
Here is evidence that the Gaelic language brought by the Scots is still alive.
As you can see through our windshield, moose get a lot of attention in Canada.
Night danger, danger de nuit. Slow down at night. Ralentissez le soir. Next, prochain 10 kilomètres.
Glace Bay is on the Marconi Trail.
Marconi, lieu historique national du Canada.
On December 15, 1902, Marconi sent the first west-to-east wireless message from here at Table Head in Glace Bay to Poldhu in Cornwall, England. The radio operator log shows that Table Head at Glace Bay was probably the first station to receive the distress transmissions from the Titanic. This is a model of the station with a transmitter and 4 210-foot towers. Remnants of the tower base are all that remain. The grass is mowed to show the outline of the base for one of the 4 towers at Table Head. Glace Bay was a prosperous mining community for nearly 300 years. At its peak, the town had the world's largest underground coal mining operation. Not only did the mine shafts run under the town, they also extended for miles under the Atlantic Ocean. Records show the fortress of Louisbourg used coal from here in the 1720s. Sinkholes are common as old mine tunnels collapse. On the narrow road again, heading generally southwest.
Hungry? Stop at the local Sobeys supermarket and buy the magic ingredients for seafood chowder. Fresh seafood chowder mix. Dulse, a seaweed harvested in Nova Scotia to add a mild flavor. And lobster paste. A true blue noser does not need a recipe for chowder.
In the 1590s, the harbor was known as English Port by European mariners. In 1713, the French built the fortress of Louisbourg. In 1758, the British captured the fortress and the port. The first lighthouse in Canada was constructed of stone from 1730 to 1734 to aid navigation to the fortress of Louisbourg. It was leveled by British guns during the siege of 1758 and has been rebuilt several times.
A bird's eye view of the harbor shows it is active. Lobster boys dot the harbor.
Between the first lighthouse and the fortress of Louisbourg is a convenient, friendly campground. That Winnebago does look familiar.
The view from the campground is suitable for framing.
Fortress of Louisbourg. Forteresse de Louisbourg.
The year is 1744, and this French town is alive with 18th century activity.
This Frenchman proudly converses about the fortress, starting with the chapel and the living quarters of the governor. Soldiers carry the governor in this sedan chair, using the poles on the right. The chopping block is prominent in the kitchen. The ruffle is supposed to keep the smoke out of the room. The governor enjoys fine art and dining on linen. His balcony overlooks the courtyard. Imagine sleeping in the governor's bed. Imagine sleeping here.
No, don't. It is a prison. Scratched in the prison wall is "Long Live the King." The tally probably counts the days spent in the prison. The buildings are rebuilt with meticulous attention to historic accuracy. The streets are lively, and the visitors are involved.
The fortress lies to the left of the village. The living quarters of the commoners are really quite adequate. Girls learn to make bobbin lace. The gardens are planted in accordance with the historic period. Livestock includes sheep and turkeys.
The blacksmith uses a coal fire. Fresh drinking water is available. Firewood is delivered by wagon. The armory is on the left, and the logs to be cut and split for firewood on the right. Inside the armory are barrels of black powder. In the 1700s, the French hoped to reign over all North Atlantic navigation from Louisbourg. This is the fortress of Louisbourg, the largest historic reconstruction in North America, meticulously rebuilt on the foundations of the original fortress.
Lunenburg is an old fishing and shipbuilding center. The town was laid out in England without knowledge of the topography, so the streets are straight, the corners are square, and the grade is steep. Most of the town has a view of the harbor. Fisherman's Tribute provides a place to pay homage to those who have been lost at sea. The town murals recognize the importance of fishing to the town. Everything is focused on the sea. Colorful doesn't adequately describe the houses.
The schooner, the Blue Nose, was christened in 1921. Although she lost her first race, for the next 17 years no challenger, American nor Canadian, could wrest the International Fisherman's Trophy from her. When the Blue Nose began touring in 1930, this tub was installed as a luxury. The Blue Nose, too, was built as a marketing tool for schooner lager beer and was launched in 1963. She was built to the original plans by some of the same workers who built the first Blue Nose. The restored Blue Nose 2 was launched in 2013.
The name Blue Nose came from a nickname for Nova Scotians, Blue Nosers. Is its genesis a blue-skinned potato? Like any good Nova Scotian tale, the true story depends upon whom you ask.
Callie enjoyed playing with a true Nova Scotian. Molly, a Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, is carrying a stick. The churches aren't situated on the water just for the pleasure of photographers. The churches are built to accommodate parishioners arriving by boat. Amos Pewter was established in Mahone Bay in 1974. Pewter is an alloy primarily of tin with copper and other metals. The formula no longer includes lead for eating utensils. The pewter is hand-poured into the molds. The cost of these pewter pieces is pricey.
Peggy's Cove is a visual feast. The village is picture perfect. Avita, those lobster traps are too small for you. The Southwester restaurant offers fish stew and other local fare to tourists. The ceilings are hand-hewn boards. Peggy's Cove Lighthouse dates back to 1868. It is one of the most photographed structures in Atlantic Canada. What could be more appropriate than a photo of Peggy at Peggy's Cove? The strawberries are very sweet and flavorful. The truck also sells frozen seafood. Everyone sells lobster rolls. McDonald's are quite good. If you're traveling in a motorhome, just buy the lobster from a roadside truck and make your own lobster roll lunch. Downtown Halifax. The Halifax Seaport Farmers Market has been bringing goods to customers since 1750. You can find baked goods, seafood, fruits and vegetables, and so on. Time to enjoy the Halifax Harbor. The columns on the Purdy Towers actually carry seawater as part of the cooling system for the buildings. The Maritime Museum of the Atlantic displays the sobering facts about the Titanic disaster. First-class passengers had access to the boat deck. Second class had some rights, but after that, we'd consider the trip uncomfortable. We can tell you the replica is none too comfortable. This map shows the route of the Titanic and its proximity to Halifax when it sank. It was about 3 days out to sea from Halifax when it went down. Marconi's new wireless transmission devices carried the word. To summarize, the Carpathian took the survivors to New York. Ships from Halifax handled the dead. Many were buried at sea. Class barriers were strictly observed in death. First class got coffins, second and third got canvas bags. The crew was taken off in open stretchers. 150 of the bodies are in Halifax cemeteries. We finished the day dining at Micmac, a phonetic version of the First Nations name. Scallops. One explanation for the Halifax tradition of brightly painted houses relates to the Halifax explosion in 1917. The explosion occurred when a French munitions ship collided with a Norwegian vessel. New Englanders sent supplies, including odd lots of paint.
The Royal Nova Scotia International Tattoo celebrates Canada's birthday, or Canada Day. It is the world's largest annual indoor show. The Holiday Makers thank you for joining us on Holiday in Canada, Ottawa to Halifax.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present the cast of the 2013 Royal Nova Scotia International Shampoo.